Wilson Morales from Black Women TV. Hello, Adepero.
Hey, how you doing?
Good. Once again, seem to be working left and right. What went on to taking on this series?
Um, what went on to taking this series? Just being presented with the opportunity to work with the likes of John Ridley and Carlton Cuse and all the incredible actors, and on top of that, telling this just really complex story. It kind of is everything I want as an actor, in the collaborations and the type of storytelling.
You worked with John Ridley before, 12 Years a Slave. What's it like coming back years later? How has anything changed in terms of his direction?
Yeah, I didn't even get to interact with him on set because he was a screenwriter. And so I remember seeing him on set, but this is the first time I got to work with him as a director, as a writer, and a producer. And yeah, that was an incredible collaborative experience because he cares so much about story and about and all the moving parts and people that are a part of telling stories. And so it was just really, really thrilling and wonderful and fulfilling.
With the role that you're playing, would you say, is she a true life person or is she a composite of many people that played that sort of role in the hospital?
Yeah, I think it's a like the story itself, it's like a creative exploration of this woman, Karen Wynn, that we learn a lot about in the book and in our version in the series. So it's a creative exploration on the real woman who was in this position.
When you think about the role, and I like to think that any time an actor takes on a role, there has to be a little bit of themselves in the character that they're playing. What is it about her trait that you say you can relate with?
Just that, like, digging your heels in and getting things done, because there's no time to wallow, there's no time to waste, and something's got to happen, and how can we make this happen? And just thinking on the fly and doing your best with what you have. Yeah, I can relate to that.
Now, which came first? Did you know more about the story? Obviously, we all know about Katrina, but did when it happened, were you watching TV and seeing how somebody's unfolded, and then when you got this series, did you read the book, or you just went off what the script was saying?
Yeah, I read the book in preparation of the role, and it was very, 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 very detailed and comprehensive and super informative in terms of the hospital, history of the hospital, characters, all the interpersonal relationships that we kind of see on screen in this series.
This is a tough series. People don't always want to see trauma, but sometimes these are the stories that need to be told so that way we know what happened as opposed to reading it. Because sometimes you need a a storytelling on screen as opposed to reading what went on. Do you
That's
believe
right.
in that?
Yeah, completely. It's one thing to read something. It's one thing to kind of watch curated news. But it's another thing to see a depiction that really tries its best to put you on the inside of what these humans were going through in this extraordinary set of circumstances. And it's, from my personal experience, it's through stories like that where I really get to lean in and get a real sense of what happened. And I think that's the whole point. That's what really should happen. It's the only way to do it.
You've had the pleasure of being on a number of films that have been nominated, a bunch of shows that have been nominated on TV screen. What goes into saying yes to the project you take? And will we see you in the Captain America film?
It's a gut thing. And sometimes it's just like, there's no thinking about it. It's like when it's the story and the people involved, and just beautiful energy involved, it's like a no-brainer. And I've been very, very, very fortunate to be presented with those opportunities. And, Captain America, listen, talk to your peoples, put it out there. I would love to be involved. Yeah, we'll see.
Well, we know that Mackie's coming back, and we know he has family, which directly involves you. So you like to think Anthony's coming back, Malcolm is coming back. I'd like to think Malcolm's going to write a little line in there for you or so to come back into. He's got to be Sam Wilson at some point.
I like to think that too. I like to think that. I'm keeping my fingers crossed.
All right. It's always good talking to you. Obviously, you continue to work, whether it's big or small on the screen. Keep it going. I'm always here to support wherever you are. Stay safe.
I appreciate you, Wilson. Thank you so much. Thank you.
Wilson Morales from Black Women TV. Hey, Cornelius, how's it going?
Hey, what's up, man? I'm good. How you doing?
Good. You know, I've been following your career from way back from AMC.
Hey, what's up?
You know, so it's always good to see you back on the screen, whether it's big or small. What went into taking on this series?
I'm sorry, I missed that.
What went on to taking on the series?
What went on to taking on the series? Well, I got the series by with an audition, and it was actually the first time that I'd heard about literally Memorial Hospital. I'd heard about Katrina, but I didn't hear about what happened at Memorial. So it really was an introduction to me of like, oh, I don't know this story. Oh, how interesting, how intriguing. And so once I booked the role, that led me down the rabbit hole to read the book, you know, do some internet searches and just find as much information I can about what happened.
You know, I like to think that when actors take on a role, there's a little bit of themselves in the character that they're playing. Is that the case here? Is there any part of you in the character that you're playing?
Yeah, I think there's a part of me in all the characters I play, because it's me. So, you know, it's a happy marriage between, you know, that character and myself because I am portraying it. And so, you know, although it's a great collaboration, you try to find the balance of how much is them and how much is you. And that's something that you kind of negotiate, I think, in the moment. But, you know, I couldn't do it if it wasn't a little bit of me in everything I do.
When you think about your character, he seems to be walking, I wouldn't say he's walking a fine line of doing what's right. Is that he's trying to be conscious as far as what's going on without realizing, hey, we're dies, you know, it's either me or them. You know, it's like, well, I can't be all of us. How else would you say the character is?
Yeah, I mean, he's a newbie. He's the only African American doctor on the staff. He's been there less than a year. So, you know, that right there is a lot to deal with in itself. A new doctor in New Orleans, a predominantly white staff, new politics. And then a hurricane comes along and really intensifies things. So, you know, we follow Dr. King on a really difficult, enlightening, challenging, conflicting internally journey. And I think that's what makes the character so attractive to me and hopefully compelling to our audience.
Is this something that you mentioned research, but was there anybody in particular that you speak to as far as how to get into their psyche as to what they would have done in that situation?
No, not necessarily. I mean, I got a lot from the book, from Mrs. Fink's book. And then outside of that, it was just me and my acting coach just kind of coming together to really crystallize some things and me sitting with the circumstances and the information that I have. And of course, the scene that was written out and just kind of finding, you know, my natural flow in terms of as best I could, what I thought the most authentic position and telling of that moment deserved.
You know, you mentioned your acting coach, and I'm like, half the time when you're on screen, a lot of it centers on your facial expressions. You know, you look like, really? You know, like, is that something you worked on? You know, like I saw the script, like he looks troubled, he looks perplexed, he looks astonished.
Yeah, no, I mean it's a byproduct of just really being present, really just living in the moment. There was there is a there's a reaction shot that I don't even remember doing in the scene, and I don't want to put any spoilers out there, but it's I don't remember which episode. It might be the second episode, but it's the group scene where we're there, and I believe Dr. Cook says this. It's the group meeting, and um, Cherry's character is kind of giving like the laydown of what's going on, and then he says, "Well, you know, I heard there's looting outside, like they're looting the place." And I take this sip of water, and I look over at the doctor, and it's just so much going on in that moment. I was like, wait, I don't even remember doing that, but they caught that. They caught that. It was just a tiny beat of me taking a sip of water and looking at Dr. Cook. And, you know, for me, that kind of represents what you're talking about. Like, that wasn't planned or written. That was just me being in the room, listening to what's going on and responding to, you know, everything that's going on, that this doctor is suggesting that Black people are looting. And it's just like, well, what does that do to you in the moment? And you're in a room with full of people in like a not a business meeting, but a staff meeting, if you will. How does that live through you with just a sip of water? So it was kind of funny to me because, again, I had no memory of doing that or planning to do that, but they caught it, and it made the final cut.
Good acting. Congratulations on the gig. Look forward to seeing what you do next. Take care of yourself.
Thank you, man. Appreciate it.